They logged the kills, then buried the names. Military archives confirm a hard fact. In multiple modern conflicts, a single concealed sniper inflicted more confirmed battlefield casualties than entire artillery sections operating the same week. Those reports exist. Most remain sealed. This is not folklore. It is accounting. Names, dates, coordinates, then redaction. One shot changed everything. The file stayed sealed. Snipers do not conquer territory. They collapse momentum. They halt advances, empty trenches, freeze command posts. Entire units reroute because one unseen rifle rewrites probability. Commanders know this. Historians rarely say it out loud. What follows is not legend building. It is pattern analysis. Across wars, the deadliest snipers share identical after-action language, identical gaps in confirmation, identical post-war silence. Kill counts are downgraded, citations delayed, careers quietly ended. Then he vanished. No press release followed. These 10 cases are drawn from declassified fragments, court-martial exhibits, and casualty reconciliation logs, records never intended to be assembled side by side. Because when one person proves this lethal, the story becomes dangerous. Some records were never meant to surface. In October 1968, on a rooftop overlooking the Saigon River, a U.S. Army sergeant lay motionless for hours inside a concrete utility structure no one thought mattered. His name was Adelbert Waldron. His assignment was not patrol, not assault, not defense. He was there to wait. He was attached to MACVSG, a unit that officially did not exist. Waldron operated from elevated positions along the river corridor, tasked with interdicting movement that could not be stopped by conventional means. At the time, river traffic was considered low risk. That assumption did not survive the first month. Then the numbers started to appear. They didn't make sense. The logs kept growing. Waldron documented every shot. Range, wind, time, confirmation. His observers recorded impacts with telescopes and post-action verification teams. By the end of his deployment, the official figure stood at 109 confirmed kills. That number alone placed him among the most lethal snipers in American military history. Internal reviews suggested the real total was higher. No one announced it. No ceremony followed. The report stayed internal. The evidence was meticulous. After-action reports show Waldron achieving confirmed hits at distances exceeding 900 meters, often against moving targets on water. One engagement recorded a headshot on an enemy combatant aboard a river craft from nearly 3/4 of a mile away. The shot was verified by multiple observers and later cited in classified training briefings. Then the tone of the paperwork changed. Language shifted from confirmed to assessed. Kill tallies were no longer cumulative. Weekly summaries replaced individual counts. Decorations were recommended, then delayed. His actions were acknowledged, but never highlighted. MACVSOG briefings referenced sniper effect without naming him. Then he was reassigned. Waldron's deployment ended without public recognition. He did not tour bases. He did not train replacements publicly. His role in river interdiction quietly disappeared from official Vietnam War narratives. When military historians later requested MACVSOG sniper records, entire sections were redacted under operational security exemptions. He missed his son's first steps. After the war, Waldron returned to civilian life. He spoke rarely about Vietnam. When asked, he described his work as observation. His record remained classified for years, and when portions were released, they appeared incomplete. Kill confirmations were listed without context. Engagement descriptions ended abruptly. The consequence was not punishment. It was erasure. Within internal doctrine, his method survived. Rooftop overwatch, riverine denial, extreme range interdiction. Those techniques became standard. His name did not. "109 confirmed kills remained a number that could be acknowledged without explanation. The rest stayed in sealed annexes, referenced but never reconciled. And that was only the starting point. 109 confirmed. Unknown unconfirmed. In 1966, deep in the jungles south of Da Nang, a U.S. Marine sniper was given a task no one else wanted. Find the enemy sniper who was dismantling patrols one man at a time. His name was Carlos Hathcock. The mission was simple only on paper. Hathcock did not move like conventional infantry. He crawled, inches per hour, sometimes for days. In one confirmed operation, he advanced nearly a mile through open terrain without being detected, using a blade of grass to break the outline of his rifle barrel. The target never saw him. Then the counter-sniper went silent. The jungle changed. Radio traffic dropped. Hathcock's effectiveness was not measured only in kills. It was measured in absence. Enemy movement slowed. Officers refused to expose themselves. Entire units altered patrol schedules because one rifle had entered the area. Internal Marine Corps reports began referencing something new: psychological terrain denial. The evidence was visual and recorded. Hathcock's most famous engagement involved firing a single round directly through the scope of an opposing sniper, killing him instantly. The probability of that shot bordered on impossible. The confirmation photographs were circulated internally, then locked away. The incident was never emphasized publicly, despite being verified. Kill counts followed. Officially, Hathcock was credited with 93 confirmed kills. Unofficial estimates, based on witness logs and denied confirmations, exceeded 300. The discrepancy was known. It was tolerated. It was not resolved. The paperwork stalled. The citations lagged. The language softened. As his reputation grew within the Marine Corps, the external narrative shrank. Hathcock was reassigned from direct combat to training. The explanation cited value preservation. Internal memos referenced something else: strategic exposure risk. Too many confirmed kills attached to one name created visibility problems. Then the missions changed. Hathcock was tasked with deep interdiction, single-man or two-man operations behind enemy lines. These missions rarely produced clean documentation. bodies were not recovered. Confirmations were delayed or denied outright. The operational success increased. The official count did not. He paid for it physically. During a vehicle incident, Hathcock suffered severe burns while rescuing fellow Marines from a burning transport. Later, multiple sclerosis began to degrade his motor control. His shooting career ended not with ceremony, but with medical reassignment. He never ran again. After Vietnam, Hathcock helped build the Marine Corps Scout sniper program. His doctrine shaped generations. His name appeared in training rooms, not press briefings. When his story was told, it was simplified. Skill over impact. Legend over ledger. The consequence was subtle but permanent. Hathcock became a symbol, not a statistic. His confirmed kills remained just below triple digits. The rest dissolved into phrases like probable and effective neutralization. Internal records still reference his operational footprint when discussing counter-sniper warfare. They do not attach numbers. They attach effects. And in later files, one phrase appears repeatedly, without attribution. Psychological dominance achieved. That phrase will appear again. In the winter of 1942, as German forces tightened their grip on the approaches to Stalingrad, a Red Army soldier began operating in a sector already written off as unsalvageable. His name was Ivan Sidorenko. He arrived not as a legend, but as a correction. Sidorenko was a hunter before the war. He understood patience. He understood distance. When he was assigned a rifle, Soviet commanders expected attrition. What they received was acceleration. Then the count surged. The trenches emptied. Command posts relocated. Sidorenko did not work alone for long. His first confirmed kills came in open terrain. Officers, machine gun crews, forward observers. The engagements were documented by unit scribes and logged under routine casualty reports. But as the numbers climbed, something changed. Sidorenko was pulled aside and reassigned, not away from combat, but deeper into it. He became an instructor. The evidence is unusually dense. Surviving Soviet records attribute more than 500 confirmed kills directly to Sidorenko. More significantly, they credit him with training over 250 snipers, many of whom went on to achieve lethal records of their own. The cumulative effect was exponential. One rifle became dozens. One position became a system. The documents reference a consolidated accounting file used during the Stalingrad defense. It appears repeatedly in training annotations and personnel summaries under the same phrase, Stalingrad Ledger. The ledger tracks sniper effectiveness separately from standard infantry tallies. It was not intended for public release. The Germans noticed first. Intercepted communications from late 1942 reference invisible fire zones and persistent marksmen Patrols began refusing daylight movement. Officers stopped using fixed observation posts. The battlefield geometry shifted, not because of artillery, but because rifles had become unpredictable. Then the suppression began. Sidorenko's kill totals were never published during the war. Citations praised leadership and initiative, avoiding numbers. Post-war summaries reduced his confirmed kills to rounded figures. Training contributions were emphasized. Individual lethality was minimized. The ledger itself disappeared from accessible archives. No press accounts followed. No interviews circulated. The trail thinned. The humane cost was recorded only once. During the defense of a forward village, Sidorenko continued operating despite receiving shrapnel wounds to his legs. He refused evacuation until his trainees were repositioned. He walked with a limp for the rest of his life. After the war, Sidorenko did not remain in the public eye. He taught marksmanship. He advised doctrine. His name appeared in internal manuals. Stripped of context. The sniper school survived. The ledger did not. What remained were fragments, cross-references, footnotes, unexplained gaps where cumulative tallies should have been. Analysts reviewing Eastern Front casualty anomalies later noted unexplained spikes coinciding with Sidorenko's deployment zones. The pattern was visible. The attribution was not. By the time historians gained limited access to Red Army sniper records, the documentation had already been normalized. Numbers blurred. Names receded. Effects were absorbed into collective memory. Sidorenko was no longer a man. He was a multiplier. And once lethality becomes teachable, the accounting becomes dangerous. One sniper became hundreds. Doctrine replaced attribution. In August 1944, high in the Carpathian Mountains, a German sniper began operating in terrain where visibility was measured in seconds and mistakes meant burial under snow. His name was Matthias Hetzenar. He belonged to the 3rd Mountain Division. The front he was assigned to was already collapsing. Mountain warfare favors patience. Hetzenar mastered it. He hunted from elevation, often alone, using rock shadows and tree lines that infantry ignored. His targets were not random. Officers, machine gun crews, runners, men whose absence caused immediate hesitation. Entire patrols stalled because one position refused to reveal itself. Then the confirmations accumulated. Too fast. Too consistently. German Army records credit Hetzenar with 345 confirmed kills, one of the highest verified totals of the Second World War. These were not estimates. Each confirmation required a witness, a location, and post-engagement verification. In mountain terrain, that requirement alone limited inflation. The number survived scrutiny because it had to. The evidence appears in Wehrmacht sniper logs and divisional summaries. Hetzenar recorded confirmed kills at distances exceeding 1,000 meters using iron sights, often under poor weather conditions. His engagements disproportionately targeted command elements, producing immediate operational disruption out of proportion to the casualty count. The Soviets responded by saturating likely sniper zones with artillery. It didn't work. Hetzenar adapted. He relocated after every shot, sometimes after every breath. German after-action reports describe sectors where Soviet advances halted without visible resistance. When infantry moved in to investigate, they found abandoned equipment and bodies positioned far behind the line of contact. Then the documentation narrowed. As the Reich began to fail, sniper records were no longer consolidated. Files were destroyed during retreats. Tallies stopped being cumulative. Hetzenar's name still appeared, but his numbers froze in time. The killing did not stop. The accounting did. No interviews were recorded. No wartime press followed. Only citations remained. Hetzenar was awarded the Knight's Cross with oak leaves. The citation praised extraordinary bravery and effectiveness. It avoided specifics. No totals, no dates, just effect. By late 1944, German command treated high-performing snipers as strategic liabilities, too valuable to lose, too destabilizing to publicize. Then came defeat. In 1945, Hetzenar was captured by Soviet forces. He spent 10 years as a prisoner of war, a decade removed from the record he had written. By the time he returned to Austria in 1955, the war had been recontextualized. Numbers from the Eastern Front were politically inconvenient. German sniper achievements were minimized or ignored entirely. He missed 10 years of his life. When historians later attempted to reconstruct sniper data from German archives, they encountered gaps, entire folders missing from 1944 Eastern Front operations. Hetzenar's record survived only because fragments had been duplicated across unit logs before the collapse. Even then, his story was compressed, reduced to a paragraph, a number, a footnote in a losing army's history. The consequence was not denial. It was dilution. His methods, elevation dominance, rapid relocation, command targeting, were quietly absorbed into post-war mountain warfare doctrine by multiple nations. His name was not attached. His count remained intact, but isolated, disconnected from context. "345 confirmed kills survived the fall of an empire. The operational lessons were inherited by its enemies. And the paperwork never explained how one man held entire valleys hostage. Confirmed under a collapsing Reich. In December 1939, as the Soviet Union pushed into Finland with overwhelming numerical superiority, a farmer from Karelia was assigned a Mosin, Nagant rifle, and ordered to delay the advance as long as possible. His name was Simo Haiha. The temperature hovered near minus 40 degrees Celsius. Visibility was measured in meters. Survival itself was uncertain. The Soviets advanced anyway. Haiha operated alone in white camouflage. Buried into snowbanks, he packed by hand to prevent muzzle flash and breath vapor. He used iron sights exclusively, refusing scopes that could reflect light or freeze. He waited. Then he fired, and the front began to stall. Then the numbers became impossible. Units stopped moving. Commanders demanded explanations. Finnish records attribute more than 500 confirmed kills to Haiha in just over 100 days of combat during the Winter War. The confirmations were conservative, requiring witness verification in conditions that made observation difficult. Many engagements were never logged at all. Soviet casualty reports from the same sector showed unexplained spikes that aligned precisely with Haiha's deployment zones. Entire Soviet units began to fear daylight. Officers avoided exposure. The Red Army deployed artillery, airstrikes, and counter-sniper teams specifically to eliminate one man. None succeeded. There is one counter-argument, often raised by skeptics, that high-AS numbers include kills caused indirectly by unit fire or overlapping engagements rather than as rifle alone. Finnish After Action reviews address this directly, separating sniper-confirmed kills from general infantry casualties, leaving high-AS total largely intact. The suppression was immediate and quiet. Finnish High Command avoided broadcasting the numbers during the war, fearing Soviet escalation. High-AS names circulated internally, stripped of totals. His actions were described as exceptional effectiveness without quantification. The emphasis shifted to morale, not arithmetic. Then the bullet found him. On March 6, 1940, Haiha was struck in the face by an explosive round fired by a Soviet sniper. His jaw was shattered. His skull fractured. He was evacuated unconscious, presumed dead by the enemy. The Winter War ended days later. He woke weeks later, permanently disfigured. Haiha survived, but his career as a sniper was over. He never returned to combat. He never toured. He never lectured. After the war, he lived quietly, hunting and farming, refusing interviews for decades. When asked about the war, he spoke only of duty. The consequence was containment. Haiha became a national symbol, not a tactical case study. His kill count was acknowledged, then frozen in time. No deeper analysis followed publicly. Soviet records that could corroborate or challenge the numbers remain incomplete or inaccessible. What endured was the effect. The Winter War demonstrated that terrain, discipline, and individual lethality could neutralize numerical superiority. Militaries studied the lesson. They did not advertise its source. Over 500 confirmed kills in one winter became a statistic too destabilizing to dissect. Not artillery, not air power. One rifle, 500 recorded, minus artillery. In the spring of 1915, along the muddy ridgelines of Ypres, a Canadian infantry battalion began reporting enemy casualties that could not be explained by artillery schedules or trench raids. The terrain was static. The weather was clear. The losses continued. The soldier responsible was a lance corporal named Francis Pegamagabo. He was Anishinaabe, a hunter since childhood, and almost invisible. Pegamagabo did not operate from trenches. He moved through shell holes, tree lines, and collapsed ground that others avoided. He crossed no man's land at night and returned before dawn. His rifle fire was deliberate and rare. When it came, German sentries did not fall where they stood. They vanished from the line. Then the tallies surfaced. They were handwritten. They were uncomfortable. Canadian Expeditionary Force records credit Pegamagabo with 378 confirmed kills during the First World War, along with over 300 successful reconnaissance missions. Each confirmation required witness verification. No easy task in trench warfare. The number endured because it was conservative. Officers noted that his real impact exceeded the count. The evidence appears across battalion war diaries and after-action reports. Pegamagabo specialized in targeting machine gun crews and forward observers, dismantling defensive positions ahead of infantry advances. Entire German strongpoints fell silent before assaults began. Commanders adjusted their plans based on his presence. But recognition lagged. Despite repeated recommendations, Pegamagabo was denied commission rank. He received 3 military medals, an extraordinary distinction, but no promotion. Internal correspondence suggests discomfort with elevating an indigenous soldier whose effectiveness outpaced his superiors. His kill count was recorded. His authority was not expanded. The humane cost followed him home. Pegamagabo returned to Canada after the war to find his service minimized and his community still marginalized. He struggled financially. He fought for indigenous rights, often ignored by the same government he had served. The war had ended. The acknowledgement had not arrived. He missed years with his family. As official histories of the First World War were written, Pegamagabo's name receded. His kills were listed without emphasis. His reconnaissance work was summarized vaguely. The focus shifted to unit achievements, not individuals. By the time military historians revisited sniper effectiveness in World War I, his record was already diluted by omission. Yet his methods endured. Stealth infiltration, target prioritization, integration of sniper fire with maneuver. These principles became foundational to modern infantry doctrine. They were taught without attribution. The consequence was institutional silence. Pegamagabo lived until 1952, largely unknown outside veteran circles. Only decades later did historians begin reconstructing his role from surviving documents. By then, many records were gone. Others were never centralized to begin with. "378 confirmed kills before the age of modern optics should have rewritten doctrine publicly. Instead, it was absorbed quietly, folded into collective achievement. And that completes the first half of the pattern. From here on, the pattern stops asking for permission. In June 1942, outside the ruined port city of Sevastopol, a Soviet university student was issued a rifle and sent to the front. Her name was Lyudmila Pavlichenko. She was 25 years old. The Black Sea wind carried dust, smoke, and the sound of artillery that never stopped. She adapted faster than expected. Pavlichenko learned to move without silhouette. She learned to wait without shifting weight. She learned which sounds mattered and which were distractions. Within weeks, German patrols began reporting sniper fire that appeared vanished and returned from new angles before countermeasures could be deployed. Then the confirmations arrived. They were precise. They accumulated rapidly. Soviet records credit Pavlichenko with 309 confirmed kills, including 36 enemy snipers. Each confirmation required witness verification and post-engagement assessment. Standards rarely relaxed during the siege. Her effectiveness was such that German command reportedly placed a bounty on her position, deploying dedicated counter-sniper teams to eliminate her. They failed. The evidence survives in Red Army tallies and frontline correspondence. Pavlichenko's engagements were concentrated around key approaches and observation corridors. German units altered movement schedules to avoid daylight exposure. Officers delegated reconnaissance to enlisted men. The pattern mirrored other high-impact snipers on the Eastern Front, but Pavlichenko's name circulated differently. She became visible. Soviet command recognized both the value and the risk. Her kill count was accurate, but politically volatile. She was pulled from continuous frontline duty and reassigned intermittently to training and morale functions. Her numbers stopped climbing publicly. Internally, they were frozen. Then the narrative changed. Pavlichenko was sent abroad as part of a diplomatic delegation to the United States and Canada. She spoke publicly about the war. She challenged Western skepticism. Her speeches emphasized collective sacrifice, not individual lethality. The sniper became a symbol. The ledger receded. No new tallies were published. No after-action details followed. The accounting narrowed. The humane cost was personal. During the Sevastopol campaign, Pavlichenko lost her fiancé, fellow sniper Lena Kitsenko, killed by mortar fire. She continued operating after his death, but those close to her noted a change. Her patience remained. Her detachment deepened. She never returned to full combat rotation. After the war, Pavlichenko completed her education and worked as a historian for the Soviet Navy. Her sniper record appeared in official histories, but selectively. Numbers were cited. Context was minimized. The focus shifted to gender symbolism and wartime morale, rather than tactical disruption. Her methods, paired movement, counter-sniper patience, terrain denial, were incorporated into Soviet doctrine. Manuals reference Sevastopol experience without attribution. The emphasis was on reproducibility, not the individual. When later analysts compared Eastern Front casualty anomalies, Pavlichenko's sectors aligned with the same unexplained drop-off seen elsewhere. The data matched. The explanation was generalized. References to specialized sniper accounting systems, separate from infantry tallies, appeared briefly, then disappeared. One internal annotation referenced consolidation with earlier Stalingrad-era methods. The phrase was familiar. The file was not accessible. Pavlichenko lived long enough to see her story told repeatedly and incompletely. Her confirmed kills remained official. Her operational impact was absorbed into myth. Her record survived. Its implications did not. Visibility protected her. It also contained her. 309 acknowledged. Context withheld. In October 1942, as Stalingrad collapsed into concrete dust and fire, a Red Army sniper was transferred into the city under orders marked urgent. His name was Vasily Zaitsev. The front was not moving. Casualties were rising. Command demanded a correction. Zaitsev arrived with a notebook. He brought no legend, only method. He operated inside ruins measured in meters, not miles. Factories, stairwells, rubble piles. His rule was simple. Whoever fired first died second. German snipers dominated the early phase of the battle. That advantage did not last. Then the cadence accelerated. Bodies appeared daily. Positions went quiet. Zaitsev's confirmed kill count reached 225 during the Battle of Stalingrad, including multiple enemy snipers assigned specifically to eliminate him. The confirmations were logged in a parallel accounting system, separate from standard infantry tallies. It tracks sniper engagements by sector, time, and effect. The file name appears repeatedly in internal references. Stalingrad Ledger. The evidence survives indirectly. Training manuals cite its tables without reproducing them. Personnel files reference ledger-confirmed results. One post-battle summary notes that sniper activity reduced German daylight movement by over 70% in designated zones. No artillery achieved the same result. The Germans responded with escalation. Elite counter-snipers were deployed. One engagement, later dramatized and simplified, involved a prolonged duel between Zaitsev and a senior German sniper instructor. The specifics remain disputed. What is not disputed is the aftermath. German sniper activity in that sector collapsed. Then the ledger changed status. As the battle turned, sniper effectiveness was no longer just tactical. It became symbolic. Zaitsev was promoted, photographed, written about. His individual count was publicized selectively. But the ledger, the system that revealed how sniper concentration reshaped the entire city, was sealed. Later references replace it with generalized language, urban sniper doctrine. The humane cost followed quietly. During a rotation near the Volga embankment, Zaitsev was wounded by mortar fire. He temporarily lost his sight. He returned to duty after treatment, but his vision never fully recovered. Others from his training group did not return at all. They disappeared into the rubble. Post-war Soviet histories elevated Zaitsev as a hero, but narrowed the scope. The dual narrative survived. The ledger did not. When historians requested access to the sniper accounting files used during Stalingrad, they were told no such centralized document existed. Yet references to it persist across unrelated archives using identical phrasing. By the late Cold War, Urban sniper doctrine taught worldwide mirror the Stalingrad methods almost exactly. Sector denial, vertical movement, paired overwatch. These techniques spread without citation. The ledger's conclusions were absorbed, stripped of origin. This is where the pattern breaks open. Earlier snipers were erased quietly. Zaitsev was publicized, but the system he proved was hidden. Individual lethality became acceptable only when it distracted from collective vulnerability. The ledger showed something commanders could not unsee. When properly deployed, snipers did not support battles. They controlled them. And once that was measured, the measurement itself became classified. Stalingrad ledger referenced. Classification raised. In January 1944, on the frozen approaches near Vitebsk, a Soviet sniper began operating with methods that did not fit existing doctrine. His name was Fyodor Oklopkov. He was Yakut, a reindeer hunter by upbringing, and functionally invisible to conventional countermeasures. He did not favor one rifle. He used several. He rotated identities. Oklopkov alternated between sniper rifle, machine gun, and capture weapons, deliberately confusing enemy attribution. German units could not determine whether they faced one shooter or an entire concealed platoon. Reports described casualties appearing in clusters, then stopping abruptly, then resuming from new angles days later. Then the tallies emerged. They were precise. They were alarming. Soviet confirmation records credit Oklopkov with 429 confirmed kills. Unlike many snipers, his confirmations were logged across multiple weapon systems, yet reconciled under a single operator ID. This required a separate accounting channel, one that mirrored the methodology first formalized in Stalingrad. The same phrasing appears again. Ledger-based confirmation. Analysts later noted that Oklopkov's operational zones showed identical suppression curves to those documented in the Stalingrad ledger: rapid officer attrition, collapse of daylight movement, and delayed advances disproportionate to force size. The system had migrated. The name had not. German countermeasures escalated. Artillery saturation. Search teams. Decoys. None worked consistently because Oklopkov did not behave like a fixed sniper asset. He behaved like a moving absence. Enemy reports increasingly attributed losses to unknown fire sources. That ambiguity was deliberate. Then the cause surfaced. During one engagement, Oklopkov's brother, also serving in the Red Army, was killed by artillery fire. Witnesses recorded that Oklopkov continued operating for 3 days without rest afterward. His kill confirmation spiked during that period. The reports note the change. They do not explain it. Recognition came late, and incompletely. Oklopkov was eventually awarded the title Hero of the Soviet Union, but only after prolonged delay. Earlier recommendations stalled without explanation. His record existed, but it was inconvenient. By 1944, Soviet command no longer needed proof that snipers could dominate sectors. That proof was already classified. The documentation tightened. Post-war publications listed Oklopkov's confirmed kills, but stripped away the accounting context. The ledger methodology vanished from public-facing histories. When researchers later traced sniper confirmation systems across the Eastern Front, they found identical structures referenced under different names, always without source attribution. The callback was unmistakable. What began in Stalingrad as an emergency measure had become doctrine. What remained classified was not the sniper, but the realization that individual lethality, when systematized, could outperform mass forces in urban and semi-urban warfare. Oklopkov survived the war. He returned home. He did not lecture internationally. He did not shape public memory. His name stayed local. His impact did not. By this point, the pattern was no longer subtle. It was deliberate. When one sniper proves decisive, he is recorded. When many prove decisive, the system disappears. And the ledger is never mentioned again. Stalingrad method confirmed. Attribution dissolved. In 2007, during a classified counterinsurgency campaign in the Middle East, an operator identified only by an alphanumeric call sign was deployed to a sector already deemed unstable. His name does not appear in public records. His unit designation is partially redacted. What survives are fragments. He was not assigned to hunt. He was assigned to stop momentum. By himself. The first reports were routine. Enemy movement slowed. Indirect fire ceased. Patrols reported absence of resistance in areas previously contested. Command interpreted this as displacement. It was not. It was suppression. Then the numbers surfaced. Not totals. Patterns. After-action summaries show a single shooter responsible for a sustained reduction in hostile activity across multiple grid squares over several months. Kill confirmations were logged, then aggregated, then sealed. Instead of cumulative counts, analysts tracked outcomes, canceled attacks, aborted movements, delayed assaults. The methodology matched earlier ledger-based systems, updated for drone verification and ISR feeds. The evidence is technical and dry. Sensor correlation, thermal confirmation, biometric matches. In several instances, the same shooter was confirmed engaging targets at distances exceeding 1,600 meters, under conditions that exceeded published engagement envelopes. The confirmations were solid. The attribution was not. Then the language changed. Reports stopped naming a shooter at all. They referred instead to persistent interdiction effects. Command briefings credited environmental dominance. The rifle disappeared from the narrative. The effect remained. One internal memo noted that acknowledging the operator's confirmed count would create an unacceptable asymmetry in public understanding of battlefield risk. The memo was approved. The count was sealed. No press briefings followed. No citations were announced. The file closed upward. The humane cost appeared only once, buried in a medical annotation. During a late-stage deployment, the operator continued operating despite severe sleep deprivation and cumulative injury. A rotation request was denied due to mission criticality. His return was delayed weeks beyond standard limits. He misses child's birth. When the campaign concluded, the operator was reassigned to training and advisory roles under non-disclosure. His after-action reports were split across compartments. No single document contained the full picture. Later attempts by internal auditors to reconcile sniper effectiveness metrics encountered missing cross-references and redacted annexes. The pattern was complete. Earlier snipers were erased. Mid-century snipers were mythologized. This one was abstracted. Modern warfare could no longer afford visible proof that one individual, properly positioned, could neutralize entire operational areas. Not because it wasn't true, but because it was too true. The implication threatened recruitment models, force protection narratives, and strategic messaging. So the system adapted. Snipers were no longer counted. They were modeled. Their kills became data points inside suppression curves. Their identities dissolved into acronyms. The ledger survived, but only as software. This was a hinge. The final evolution of lethality did not remove the sniper. It removed his name. And once names disappear, history becomes negotiable. What began as redacted paperwork ended as doctrine without authorship. The lessons were absorbed globally. The record stayed sealed. The operator returned anonymity by design. There was no denial. There was no acknowledgement. Only silence. The 10 stories converge here, not at a battlefield, but at a filing system. Because when individual lethality becomes undeniable, the final suppression is not the act. It is the record